I think that's it. Let's all call to order and we'll do a pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joe, I put sound on for you. Okay. First, roll call. And it looks like we got 3 gentlemen here. We had 3 gentlemen last time, but only for half the meeting. But it was nice to have Mr. Graber back. Public comment. Anybody got any? Nobody has anything. What is this?
21st?
No, it was the same last week. Do we have to do something radical to get people to come up and participate? Okay. Next will be administrative business.
We don't have any administrative business today.
Jeez. Okay. You might as well just go, right?
I'm game.
Yeah, go on. Okay, let's try the consent agenda. First on there is approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any comments on approval of the minutes?
No, sir.
What, I would like to make a comment. I think our staff has done a very good job to a lot. I was making a reference to the budget, I thought, but I do have a question on the consent. Let's see, consent agenda.
Oh, you're going to skip ahead. I thought.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought you were going to take something on the minutes because.
I do have something on the minutes.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I read through last week's minutes.
Very good.
And I would like to read them and maybe you can give me some understanding.
Well, that's
A motion was made by Commissioner Smith
Mm-hmm.
and seconded by Commissioner Klemp to approve the payment to Shawnee Mission Forward because purchasing policy was followed. Motion failed 1-to-1. How is that possible? I mean, if it was the purchasing policy was followed,
It was.
then why would it fail? I mean,
well,
if I'd been here, I know.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I did? There were several things that were taking place, just like a motion was made by Smith, second by Klemp, to approve the 2019 Leavenworth County budget as presented, and that failed.
Okay.
Okay? But there was no vote shown, and then there was another...
But this says that
yeah.
the purchasing policy did
Okay.
meet policy standards.
Mm-hmm.
And that is correct.
So that, why would it fail? I mean, there's no reason for it to fail.
Well, under discussion, the subject was brought up, and it wasn't going to pass unless we pulled that out of there, and it was pulled out. Okay?
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure everybody else got paid. And then we can take this up today.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I'd like to take this up today.
Oh, we are. We were waiting for you, same way as on the budget.
Wait for me.
Yeah,
sir.
You're important.
Oh, yeah, right.
Jeez. Okay. That was something on the
Minutes.
minutes. It just said, it didn't say failed, didn't say anything. That was the second motion up from the bottom. And it was tabled to after the commission met with the canvas. There should have been something as presented, blah. not a big deal. It was brought up, Commissioner Klimp inquired if the board can approve the budget without one department. The county councilor advised the budget is a whole, and if it keeps going like it is, we'll all be in the hole. The county administrator, not that we don't do a conservative budget, it's just everybody's saying the mill is constant. The mill is constant. Mill doesn't mean diddly squat. Does anybody not understand that? That's a worthless statement. Because I can ask everybody sitting out there, and there might be two that can explain, maybe three, what a mill is. How much did the budget go up? Did it go up $1 million? Did it go up $2 million? Did it go up $3 million? And, you know, I've asked that ever since I've been going to the city meetings and the school board meetings years ago when I used to go. Can somebody put in an intelligent statement of what the budget changed? Because the populace is not going to go out and learn anything about a mill, and you shouldn't expect them to. But it's always the mill remained the same. The mill went down 1/10. Well, it only went up $1.5 million, the budget. So it would be.
If you raise the mill levy, it's going to make a big difference.
Well, if you leave it the same, it's going to be a big
$2 million levy that
the
school district wants
people
raised.
understand if you raise the mill, but we're lowering the mill.
Right.
But the budget is still going up,
It
isn't it?
is.
That's what people want to know. How much money are we spending? Where is it going? That's what people want to know. They don't care about a mill. A mill is what you do on the road, you know. You lay a mill. Or milling, excuse me. So it would be nice to have that written down of how much is being spent. I mean, is that a big deal? I don't know. I guess it is. We want to keep, what is it they're always saying, we want to be open to the public. That is a bunch of bull. Anybody believes that government wants to be open to the public has been drinking something that I haven't been drinking. Approval of the schedule for next week.
I have no conflicts.
No problems?
No problems.
No problems.
Okay.
Need a motion for that?
Not yet.
Okay.
I want to talk about the check register.
Oh,
Wasn't stapled together this time, and that's good. I like that. I'd just like to point out that, you know, there was $88.5 million for road asphalt for Vance Brothers. There's 20, did I say million?
Yes,
you did say
There
million.
you
I
go.
was
We're going
looking
to have
at it.
every road in the county done.
I couldn't
Well, I'm
find
working on the sewers for 80-some million.
I can't find the 88 million.
Well, by gosh, correct me from now on.
Yeah, all right.
That's what
I was
you're-
getting ready to.
Good, that's what I like.
No, I'd like to see 88 million for the Vance Brothers. That'd take care of the roads in the county.
Yep, 26, that was 88,000, now there's 26,000 to Alfred Benish, I guess it is, and company. If it isn't Benish, it's Benish. Enter what it is, doesn't matter. And that's for bridges,
Very important.
very important. A lot of primary election. Just page after page of 125, 15, 10, 46. 125, a lot of money because of elections.
Very important.
Very important.
Yeah, that's why we only had 27%. That's very important.
Well, that's a
South-
lot better than it has been. 27%.
Yes,
A lot better.
but
But
it's
it's still not good.
thank you. That was the best part of the statement. South Bend Chips Roadstone. Can anybody help me with that? Almost $18,000. Do we have any ideas what? That's something new on here.
The roadstone, is that
Yeah.
what yours? That's the rock they add to the chip seal.
Chips.
That what?
That's the rock they add for the chip seal process, that's the chips.
Okay. Thought that was interesting. Never seen it on one of these.
Probably first time we used it.
Yeah. So
The
I just,
haydite's getting so hard to get, limestones too.
so I thought it was page after. Okay. 56,000. Is that better?
That's better.
Just thinking, the boys in Topeka and Washington, they're talking about millions and billions.
Well,
Okay.
you excited? You got me nervous there when you said 88 million.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd get somebody's attention. I thought I'd hear some booing out in the crowd. But there's 56,000 for Lebanon County Co-op. County Extension, 60,000. Mid-America Regional Council. I got that one underlined. 19,000
We belong.
For our dues.
for our dues.
I know.
And we don't get a cent this time from Mark, and not Mark, Mid-America Region. We don't get a cent. Aren't we important enough to get something? I don't know.
I believe Public Works can answer that when they come up for their quarterly report, because they have put in for stuff.
Well, they put in for it.
Well, not saying we just got denied. I don't think we're off the radar
No,
yet.
we're not.
Not off the radar yet.
No.
But I didn't see
No.
anything positive in there, and I think that's pretty poor. We belong to an organization, and
That specific expenditure is not our membership or dues to Mid-America Regional Council. That's our cost share for the 911. We all share
Oh.
the radio system.
Okay.
So that is
Okay.
for a service that they provide.
yes. Okay, thank you. We went to the brains of the outfit. Napier Engineering, that's good, 11,000. Primaries, elections. Lebanon County Public Works, 17,000. I'm not just pointing out so people know where money's going. Primary, it's a primary time. 88,000. Vance Brothers. Always like this one. 40, let's call it 45,000. Wire nuts.
It's the world we live in.
Yeah, we live in it. Going to round it up because it's only 33 cents. $465,000.
Was that to put the fobs in all the,
Mhm.
Amazing, isn't it?
That was 44,000. 464,000 he's referring to as the total for this,
Yeah,
including all the other items.
for the whole. Okay. Any OCBs today? I'll entertain a motion to accept
motion
the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as stated.
I'll second it.
Been moved, seconded.
Aye.
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 Very good. Action. Consider a motion to approve the 2019 Leavenworth County Operating Fund budget. And I've got here Bob, since we were here discussing. Do you have any questions on it?
No, I think that's what I thought we were going to, was to consider the budget first, but I was jumping ahead.
You can do that.
But I'm allowed to jump ahead?
Hey,
Oh, okay. I want to tell staff that I'm glad to see we're giving back a $500,000 that this commission.
quarter mil, Bob.
Quarter mil.
Yeah, that's right.
This commission promised a year ago that we would give back the whole mill that we used on the Justice Center roof, and I'm glad to see that we have held up with our word, and we are giving back the quarter mil, which makes it a $500,000 now. And even though it really isn't in best interest of the county as far as our tax lid. We promised, and I think you got to hold to your word. So that's all I have
Bob,
to say.
I agree. I think with the quarter mill, we were still allowed to do all the enhancements. We were
Right.
still able to do everything we set out to do. And staff worked very hard on that. I mean, you can't, not acknowledge the staff for what they did to get this to that point. And like I said, I'd like to set the pace where we lower that mill levy every year. And there's no reason why we can as long as this county's growing.
But you made the comment way back before I got here that you wanted it to be lowered to quarter mill last year, and it didn't get lowered last
No,
year.
it didn't.
No.
I couldn't get, no, but we got it lowered a quarter. I
That's
wanted,
right.
the half, but we couldn't get it passed.
Well, can we do a famous quote? Promise made.
Promise kept.
I don't know who made that statement. Oh, that was, I don't even know who that was. Trump? No. Okay. Okay.
Are you ready for a motion on the
I'm
budget?
ready for a motion.
I move that we approve the 2019 Leavenworth County operating budget as presented.
I'll second it for discussion. One question I want to ask is what I asked before. Will the Shawnee Mission Ford be in?
That was in this bill packet,
That
so
will
they're
be
getting
in that
paid.
bill packet.
They got approved today.
Okay, so it got approved. All right, I'll second it.
Okay. Moving second. How you vote, Doug?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. Community Corrections Reimbursement Funds Budget.
Megan, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you is the reimbursement plan that we have every year. This is the money that we collect for our urinalysis testing from either the court systems, because we do have contracts with the courts to do mandatory UAs for offenders, as well as individuals that are on probation in our office. So this is the money that we've collected this past year and over the course of the last few years. And these funds help, I guess, with step increases with salaries that are not originally figured into the budget, because our budget is due May 1st with the state. So we don't normally know what some of the plans are for the county. So this helps us kind of keep our staff still in conjunction with what the county has for their employees' pay plan.
Any question?
No.
One statement. Megan, Pat, and Lewis. That was great. Pat signed it already. Always remember that.
Okay.
Because his input is important, so. Okay. Somebody want to do something on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? How you vote, Bob?
Aye.
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 Very good.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate it. The original. You'll put a date in there. Appreciate it. Community Corrections. Next is consider case number DEV 18-078, a temporary special use permit for the Leavenworth Bicycle Club.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. This is case number DEV 18-078, temporary special use permit for this 36th annual Buffalo Bill Century Ride. This bike race will be held on Saturday, September 15th, 2018. This is an annual event. Registration starts at 6:30 a.m. with the duration of the event from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Participants start and finish at the Leavenworth Community Center. There are 3 race routes which span throughout the county with distances from 25 to 105 miles. The applicant has provided a detailed emergency safety plan and certificate of liability insurance. The Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval of case number DEV 18078 subject to conditions. The applicant is present to answer any questions you may have, as are we.
I think we've done this one for
We've done it for a lot of years.
yeah.
But we have to open it to a public hearing.
Okay.
Anybody in the public want to say anything?
Anybody against or for?
Okay. I'll close the public hearing. Anybody up here have anything they want to question?
This doesn't involve county staff having to do anything, does it, on that weekend?
They'll probably hire the sheriff's department to do some
Okay.
work,
But Public Works isn't going to have to do anything?
unless they are asked to, but they haven't asked anything. And we can
Okay.
ask the applicant if
Okay.
they ask.
And if they're asked to, are they reimbursed too, like the sheriff?
I believe so.
Okay.
That brought up a third question. I believe so's. I don't like I believe so's. Probably should have been researched a little bit more, but see that map?
Covers a lot of area.
That's red, yellow, and blue. I did like somebody's comment, we need to check with these people need to check with the other counties. But when I see red, yellow, and blue, I'm trying to figure out, mine's in the gray. I was just sort of curious, somebody might ask me, where's the red one going? And I couldn't tell them because,
That's not planning and zoning. They provided us a color map. It's just when Debbie printed it last week, she didn't put the setting to color.
yeah, I know that, but it'd be nice, just passing it on, that was free. And it was way too early. Usually this is the day before, and this takes place on September the 15th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're in here all this early? That is very nice, where you've got time to study and have people look at it. I'll take a motion if somebody wants to give one.
I move that we approve case number DEV-18-078 temporary special use permit for Leavenworth Bicycle Club.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the DEV 18078. Any discussion? How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Now we have a resolution, don't we, or do we do that?
Yes.
No.
No
No,
resolution
no.
on this.
No resolution. Thank you very much. Next item will be says Jeff Joseph. Is that the same one? That's interesting. I have one free sheet and one big sheet, and they both talk about the DEV. That was a question I had. Why did I have another one? Okay. GIS. I think we can do that, can we? Yeah.
Larry just wants to get ahead of him.
We'll remove.
He went to get his camera to take a picture of you, Larry.
So we'll skip to the man in the coat and tie. Would the Real Information Systems Department head please
Director.
come down?
Glad to. I hope you received my written report. I don't have a lot to add to it, as usual, though I would mention that in the near future, we're going to start working on the district court upgrade project, which will be a lengthy project where we're going to be replacing all of their workstations, printers, the whole spread. So that's going to be rather time consuming. And I will be back before you in probably 4 to 6 weeks to get approval for the purchases when we get all the equipment figured out. So that's going to be the biggest project coming up. Other than that, we did replace the appraiser's office equipment in the last quarter, a handful of other items that I don't think are that exciting to mention. Do you have any questions of me?
I do. Go ahead, though.
Well, go ahead, because I think we probably both have the same question.
It's just that you're here, Larry. I had come up with some questions. Would you explain the second line up from the bottom? It says upgraded the schema of the database.
That's the databases that are used by the SharePoint, which probably is a meaningless phrase to you. This is why I struggle so much with my quarterly reports.
No, I enjoy that, because is there such a word as
schema? Schema, yes. It's the way the data is organized inside of a database. It's referred to as a schema.
Okay.
Think of it as a organizational chart, if you will, of how the different data fields are lined up and organized.
Yeah.
So it's technical jargon that regrettably I included in my quarterly report.
No, that's all right. I wouldn't have learned that word. What's wrong with that? I have no problems with learning words. Now, the personnel changes created by the retirement of Judge Sunby. Now, this isn't all this upgrading you're going to do, is it?
No, that's a separate issue.
What has created that issue?
Well, their computers are getting very old.
No, I mean the Sunby thing.
Oh, you're aware that Judge Sunby is retired.
Yes, he's retiring.
So they have a selection going on with other judges, and you have Judge Asher and Judge Bednar that are now coming up from Atchison to work in courtroom 5, and they've moved another judge to courtroom 3, or excuse me, the work that Judge Sunby was doing in courtroom 4 is now being done in courtroom 3. I believe criminal docket has moved.
Okay.
As they assigned it to another judge.
Judge Gibbons.
Judge Gibbons, and each judge, for the most part, is able to have their courtroom in whatever fashion they'd like it to be in. So criminal court required certain things that whatever they were doing in courtroom 3 before, I don't know what it was, it's a different thing. So we had to put a lot of audiovisual equipment that was in courtroom 4. We had to duplicate the setup in courtroom 3. And then we accommodated Judge Asher and Bednar's requests for specific types of computers and displays that would tip down to the point that they weren't obstructing their view of the jury and other people. So they had specific requirements and needs. So we spent a few weeks trying to get everything acceptable to the different parties.
I can see that feeling there. Now, what happens when we get the new judge? He's going to have his
we will probably do a similar thing, accommodating.
Isn't that amazing that somebody can't do that? I can just see going to the airport and I'm getting in a 727 and it isn't rigged the way I want it. So the flight isn't going to go because that isn't the kind of 727 I want. I want one with a switch that goes this way.
I think that the IS department's far more accommodating than the current air industry. Yes.
Yeah, but I think they could have at least waited to the new judge. Is that going to take, how long is that going to take, David? You're a lawyer. Is that going to take 5 months, 5 years?
No.
We couldn't have waited?
I think it's 90 days, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure by the end of the year we will have a replacement.
Well,
but before that. But it's very likely he may like the equipment that we put in place. Courtroom 5 was a special scenario anyhow because the municipal court also uses it. So there's just a lot of changes that were going on that started because of the retirement.
But I think that change could have waited because there's going to be an expense. You know what the expense is going to do to move all that? Is it $5? Is it $5,000? Or is it $50,000?
Most of the expenses, if there was equipment purchased, district court had paid for that. We did not pay for it out of my budget. Our part was mostly time.
That was my question.
So this was new equipment. It was unexpected, so I had not had a chance to ask for it through a budget process or
Okay.
anything. So they had picked up the tab on any hardware equipment. It was just our time was our investment.
Where do they get their tab?
Well, you're aware of their budgeting mechanism.
Yeah. That's, I think,
I don't know how they could have waited. That parking lot's full every day over there.
how they could have waited?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that
okay.
system's busy.
Yeah, it's busy. Yep.
You know, it's the world we live in.
No, it's
My
not the
part,
world
I
we
just-
live in, it's the world we let it live in
Well-
because we accept them for their inadequacies, okay? We've been waiting over a year and a half now for a judge to make a decision. That could have been settled a long time ago. But if you haven't noticed how this system has failed, it's failed at the federal level too. And anybody doesn't know that, we got a real sickness going here. So,
Well, for my part, I just wanted
Yes.
to point it out because we had spent a
Well, I
significant
just
amount
wanted
of
you to-
time working on it, so.
yeah, it was nice of you to do that, appreciate that. We don't need a vote to accept his
No.
quarterly, so thank you, Larry, appreciate it.
I just had a question for me.
Yes, okay.
Is it ever going to be able to put like public notices on the county's website? You know, like we had, just a couple pages of delinquent taxes. Is that ever going to be something we can put on?
I can put anything you want on the county's website.
Is that a big deal?
No, I don't recall. Well, certain public notices do go on there from planning and zoning. They
Right.
do public notices
Right.
on a
Like-
regular basis.
Delinquent taxes, stuff like that.
I don't believe that's ever been published on the website. It's just never been requested, but I could easily do it.
Well, it's required in the paper, we know
Yeah,
that.
I know it's
Correct.
required, it's required to be in the
Already.
paper, but
It is in the paper. But I could put it on the website if
A lot
I
of
was
people don't
directed to
take
do
the
so.
paper.
yes, that's right.
So you want to cut the paper's enrollment a little bit more?
No, I did not say that. It
Oh.
needs, legally, it has to be in the paper.
Yeah,
But I didn't know if it could be put on the county's website also. for
we can
those who-
put anything on the website we
But if
want.
it's a big deal.
Correct. No, tax sale information is always on there. When their properties have come up to be an auction in the tax sale, all those properties have been listed
And I
on the
think that's the
website for
sheet you're
years.
talking about, isn't it?
Right. No, the list that
The list that-
publishes that the people that haven't paid their taxes.
That, like in June or July every year?
Well,
No, it's
last
just
week.
published
Last
again.
week, okay.
It's in the cycle now, being what, every three?
I
for 3
paid
weeks?
mine, Doug.
I'm sure you did.
Anyway, to answer your question, yes, if somebody wanted me to,
Okay.
provided that information, I could put it on the website if it was asked for.
But no, I'd like to see Leavenworth paper expand to be the Leavenworth County newspaper.
Well, and we'll
Take
never
over
do
now.
that.
Have a reporter in every town. Expand it, John.
Well, we just have John go to every town.
He's spread pretty thin right
No,
now.
heck no.
He can't make it all the meetings now, hardly.
So is that something you're wanting?
That was just a question.
Okay.
No, just general information.
What staff think about that?
I think it's pretty easy to add any of our notices that go out, road closures and whatnot. We could have an area on the website for that, just regularly update.
Isn't that the same, what we just got in the newspaper?
Yes, that's what.
That's what he's talking about.
Right.
And that's the people who are delinquent.
I assume that comes from the appraiser's office. Whoever has the data, if they want it on the
Yeah.
website, send it to me, I can do it.
It doesn't matter to me. But,
That's just a question. I didn't.
okay.
Anything else I can do for you?
No, sir.
No.
All right,
It's
thank
always
you.
nice
Thank
to
you,
see
Larry.
you come.
Always good to see you.
Yeah. Next will be EMS.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
As Larry did, I presented quarterly reports to you. On the EMS side, I started with budget. As you can see, we're within our expenditure for the first half of the year. Revenue collections are about 8.73% higher than they need to be for the first half of the year. And actually, I put the revenue collected through July, and we're up almost 10% higher. So we continue to collect revenue as appropriate. Statistics, as you can see, we're moving in that upward trend. Again, this is just my standard report of all the data and such for you to view. One of the big things that I would like to do today, and I brought Michelle Westfall with me, which is my EMS training administrator, and that's under the additional items. Michelle was selected by the KEMSIS, which is Kansas EMS Association, to receive the Donald E. White Educator of the Year Award this year. That's a state achievement, pretty big achievement. That means she was the educator designated out of the entire state of Kansas to be given that award. That is a very high award. I'd like to bring Michelle up for the board to recognize her for those achievements. Last year, Michelle put on or oversaw the training program of over 570 some hours that were offered throughout the Leavenworth County, which are that's a major feat to provide such a training program. And just in the last quarter, it was 166 hours provided. She's recognized by local fire departments, police departments, hospitals, things of that nature that she works with on a daily basis, as well as all of our EMS attendants to make sure that we are providing the care that we need to out there. She's a crucial and critical component to my administration and my service. So I just wanted to recognize her here during the quarterly report. That just happened last weekend down in Wichita at the KEMSA conference. So she was able to go down and receive that award during the actual conference. So,
well, congratulations. It sounds like you earned it.
And it's a good thing he brought it up and that you're here, because I had it highlighted. I wanted her to come forward. So if she hadn't been here.
Already ahead of you.
Thank you.
And
I like it when you're
John
ahead.
has got her picture
award.
for
And
the
actually,
paper.
this Thursday also, Michelle was also selected from the to receive the EMS award through their organization as well. So
very good.
So she'll be attending their banquet on Thursday and also receiving the award for those same kind of things that she's doing in the EMS community and career. So great employee, and I think it's an important thing that she's doing.
Thank you. We appreciate everything you do.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle, for being a overly involved person. Appreciate that. Anybody have any questions of Jamie before I get to him?
They should have invited us to the conference.
Well, yeah. Okay, Jamie. Page 1. I don't understand 2015, 2016 being the same amount and 17 and 18 being the same amount. One's 2120, the other one's 3,000. I'm sure there was some reason for that. To me, it ought to be a little more accurate, and maybe that's hard to do.
It's very difficult. That is used for our revenue collections in regards to calls. Depending on the calls, depending on what the cost is. Not every ambulance ride is the same. Not every. So again, we base that on known revenues that we know we can collect. So then the budget is not. We're not coming back to general fund and putting the general fund into a red line or things of that nature. Anything additional goes back into it's additional funding that's going to go into collections. Between 2016 and 2017, there was a large jump. One, because we knew we were taking on the contract with St. John's for Up the Hills, which are from their ER into the mains and things of that nature. So that was additional revenues. We made those adjustments as we were going forward. So that's something that is on an average. I try to look at the American Ambulance, Medicare, those type of things on where reimbursements are going to be.
Right.
And I don't want to put an unexpected revenue that's not going to be collected.
Right.
So,
Okay.
we've made those. We look at those on a year-to basis. I work with Mark now on those to make sure that what we document in there is going to meet our revenues that we say we're going to collect, we will be able to collect.
How much time is given to the hospital? In other words, is this a burden that has come along that somewhere in the future will, because I have down here new stations, more ambulances, is that something by dealing with them and taking care of that portion, is that something that is creating a problem?
The St. John's
Yes.
portion? Realistically, we average 3 a day from them. The average time from the time we receive the call until the time we're done is about 27 minutes to complete.
Okay.
So the revenue that generates for us and the amount of time, that was allowing us to staff that 5th ambulance into our organization, which we then use for those other 22 hours and 30 minutes of the day into the 911 system.
Okay.
So that's a good revenue stream for us. That's why we went that route, and we were able to. They're very happy with the service that they're receiving from us. We work with them regularly. They also make sure that if they have those, they try to button them up so we can go do one, come right back down the hill, grab the other one, and knock it all out pretty quick. And the revenue that, again, comes from those, the hospital pays those on a monthly basis. It pays for, it pays for itself and then some.
Okay. That's good. It's just, when I look at that, then I see you coming in. We're remodeling Station 2, and then we got people want one on the corner the same way as they used to have a bar in a church, and it gets very prohibitive because your industry puts out the stats that if somebody is not there within 3 minutes, you're going to this, and if you're not there in 5 minutes, and it's sort of like the fire department, the police department, everybody gets involved in that. How come on page 2, which is your page 3, excuse me, how do we get, okay, because your title page was page 1. What's not arrived?
If we were canceled en route.
Okay, good. Sounds good. I noticed the average run times in 2017, 2018 are going up. Yeah, that's another station, more ambulances.
The divisible, though, so far is only the first 6 months.
Yes.
So again, I'm looking at an entire year as a divisible of almost 13,000, 12,000 calls. This, I'm only dividing it right now by the 6,000 calls. That trend could still go down by the end of the year. Again, we're slowing down, which is right up your alley on what you
love it.
You appreciate. But
I'm now honking my horn to tell them they got to.
One of the things also that I can bring to that is, Michelle, EMS safety, EMS driving, the EVOC, all those, industry standard across the board is looking more towards the use of license sirens, the speed, things of that nature,
right,
on what information is given to dispatch. Dispatch gives to us, negates now whether not every call that comes in, do we turn on the license sirens and go to that call.
Yeah.
So obviously there will be some slowdown within that. So that's some of the reasonings behind why there's a difference between 17 and 18.
What are we doing on Tuesday at 10 o'clock that is creating the problems? Is Tuesday?
That's the day not to call for an ambulance. That is one of the busiest times, is around between the 10 and 11 o'clock hour, and on a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. You'd think it'd be Friday
between
night?
Between 4 and 5 on a Sunday, that is, we're all basically in-house. That is the time that's the least.
It's crazy.
It's pretty interesting when you start doing analytics of data of where calls and where trends are and things of that nature, but That just happens to be the busiest time for us.
We should feel guilty to have him here at this time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Last thing I have, all the drivers have CDLs, right?
Negative.
Negative.
No, they do not.
Huh.
It's not in the that is not a requirement. But what we have done, and it's not even an industry requirement, but what we have done within our organization is gone the CEVO training,
right.
Which is the coaching the vehicle emergency operation side of things and the EMS safety. And again, that's something that Michelle is an instructor on, and we make sure that they all go through those training courses and they're certified through those courses, but they do not have to be a CDL driver.
Staff, didn't Linda Lobb tell us that they all have CDLs?
She's hauling,
Again?
so many passengers.
Well, I know that. That's why my trolley only holds 15, because above that I'd have to have a CDL. I
She
thought
does require her drivers to have CDLs because of the transportation aspect of it, public transportation.
Oh, interesting. Somebody lobbied real good, didn't they?
We're exempt.
Yeah.
We're an exempt entity
lobbied real
because
good.
we do, again, on our side of things, we do more extensive training than just having somebody go and get a CDL. We continue through driving courses, we do the safety courses, we do a lot more driver training than just that CDL portion.
Well, I'd hate to have all EMS people added to the CDL list because, you know, we're going to be $250,000 short in what, 2019 or 2020. I'd hate to add to that. So, but okay. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I don't particularly have a question. I would have an observation is, what if you hire someone and you train them, but you know as well as I do, you're going to have emergency situations where you have to drive fast. It looks to me like that you'd have some kind of training for that. The speed is very critical. You know, that's how most accidents happened, except at intersections.
You know, they had one 2 weeks ago at 20th and Eisenhower.
And I just, you know, I just think that training of someone driving an ambulance because of the speed that sometimes they have to drive at, and I like the idea that if it's a non-life-threatening issue, that they don't have to drive that fast.
Was that a major accident at 20th and Eisenhower?
Commissioner, I don't.
There's a lot of vehicles there.
Yeah. We respond to a lot of accidents, and I can't tell you every one that we go to of what's.
Whoa. 20th and Eisenhower. That's not a major thought process for one of the three of us up here? Okay. Very good. I thought that was a very good report. Anybody got any more questions?
Yeah, just one. The 1 year lease with Fairmount Township to house your ambulance. Is there any way to get a longer term lease on that? So we can do some planning someday.
I'm sure I can go back and discuss it with them.
I think at the time we initiated that lease agreement, there was a lot of discussion about extended term contracts and agreements. So we kept it to 1 year with a renewal clause in there.
It automatically renews. If you think about it, it's actually about an 18-month clause because it gives us 6 months vacate plus a 1 year renewal. So it's really, if you look at it, it technically could be 18 months.
Well, with the growth that's occurring in Basher right now, it's, you know, the fire department's going to have to expand someday, and don't want to see you kicked out in the street.
I don't envision that. With my discussions with the fire department and the fire board, they're very happy with the relationship right at the moment and how things are going. And realistically, we were operating down there for almost 18 months with no clause. I mean, we could have been kicked out within a
Well, I'd just like to see a long-range plan.
Yeah,
Ideally, it'd be a public safety building that the county and Baser goes together on. But right now, it looks like Baser's doing their own police department, a new police department, or remodeling a building for a police department.
It is a good relationship because a majority of the calls, both fire and EMS, are going to anyway. So training-wise, Michelle goes down and does training there. We're all housed in. It's a very good working relationship with, even though if we were with law enforcement, we train more with fire than we do with law enforcement. Right. So to have that cohesiveness in the same station works very well for us, and it's very cost-effective.
Yeah.
But that makes us have 4 stations, which isn't all bad. We got one in North Leavenworth, one in North Lansing, South Leavenworth. Got the one down in Tonganoxie.
And
then we got the one in Fairmount or in Baser. So, any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's go to the Health Department.
Same thing, Commissioners. I presented a quarterly report for the Health Department. Again, expenditures are on track for the first half of the year. User fees, again, are on track for collections. Our grant collection in a grant year just ended with the state, and we started a new fiscal year with the state July 1, and we're on track for grants received. And then I just put the total revenues collected, so we're in good shape there. Again, just to point out for statistics, it shows that we're slightly lower on the Health Department side, but again, depending on what month and where we're at in programs, that will kick up. We just went through our immunization weeks, if you will, prior to school going in, and over the last 2 weeks, we're averaging 40 to 50 clients a day in there getting immunizations for school readiness. So again, we'll see those statistics for the Health Department clients go up for the third quarter in there. So just to point out real quick, most of the items in the second quarter for the quarterly report were a lot of the training requirements for the grants and such, so that's where it shows a majority of time spent with a lot of staff time. We went to several conferences that are required, again, paid for by the grants and such. We only send, that's one of the things when I took over, is to really look at, there was a lot of training and travel and things happening. I'm a very big proponent to that. However, I like to send who needs to go to those and not just everybody clear out and go to training. So all of these that went in, the infectious disease symposium, 3 individuals went. Those are the individuals that deal on the infectious disease. The public health emergency preparedness FEP conference in Atlanta, that was the FEP coordinator went to that, and again that was paid for through the FEP grant. The NACHO, which is the National Association of County and City Health Officials, two individuals went to that. Immunization conference, 2 individuals. The Governor's Conference, a majority of the programs that we receive through the aid to local grants require the individual that is overseeing whatever those programs are, whether it's family planning, MCH, teen pregnancy, all the things of that nature, they have to go to those. That's part of the program and receiving the grant dollars. So 5 individuals went to that, but that was in-state, so that was down in Wichita. Our car inspection installation update, 1 individual went through that, and then Michelle also assisted us with getting the CPR training update for the Health Department staff. So the others you can read if there's any other questions.
Bob? Where do the grants, are these all state grants? Because it looks like they're all, it looks like we're going back to 2015 where the grants went up, from 604,000 to 610 to 631, and now for about a half a year we're at 302. So it looks like
it fluctuates again just on receivable. We may have received some of that payment in December of last year versus in June now, and it could be the same thing this next year. So grant revenues is it's difficult for us just because of how the years balance out, where I'm on a state fiscal grant, I'm also on a federal grant for WIC, and then I'm on the county's year for January through December.
So they could drop at any time and not do any grants, couldn't they?
It can, but once they're awarded,
yeah, I mean, once they're awarded, fine, but you know, the next year they might say, we're not.
Correct, and that's why we apply early. If you remember that back in, I believe it was March, I came forward and we applied for those grants. That helped present the budget from the WIC side, or excuse me, the health department side to Mark to present the budget for 2019.
Very good. Fine, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming, Michelle. Appreciate that. Okay, next will be Planning and Zoning. Mr. Jeff Joseph.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Planning and Zoning Department, we are having regular Planning Commission meetings and Board of Zoning Appeals. And also, we're helping citizens every day with their land development issues. County Road 1, we are working on the land use plan. Another set of public meetings will be held in September. Hopefully, we'll wrap this up within the next 3 or 4 months. Leavenworth County Master Plan, the RFPs have been sent out. Requests for proposals have been sent out, and we are waiting for the consultants to get back to us. And my budget is on track, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Bob, do you have any questions?
No.
Doug?
Yes, sir.
Good.
On the regulatory, it says planning staff is working on rezoning non-conforming parcels within the county. Successfully rezoned Fairmount area and some lots in Reno. Are you just doing variances on these lots? Or
no, sir.
1 acre lots?
What we are doing is on the Fairmount, we actually rezoned the whole area to 1 acre tracts, 1 acre zoning. So that makes it compliant. And same with the Reno Township. We have so many lots that are less than 1 acre. So we're trying to figure out, we need the approval from the property owners to do that. So we're trying to.
These were people that had filed deeds prior to 1996?
Correct. Yeah, all of those were.
Granted amnesty? Yeah,
what happened was some people buy 2 lots and they build houses on top of the lot line, so there'll be easements through there, so we have to figure all that out. So it's a very
so these lots they can have septic on 1 acre?
They have to have an engineered system.
Okay. And on the planning application process, it says creating a building permit application for commercial developments, churches, and schools. How is that going to be different?
It's not going to be different. We require them to submit a site plan that's more. Right now, with the houses, we don't really get any site plans or anything. So the commercial projects, we need a site plan that shows the building setback, parking, and all those things.
So they still have to comply with every.
Correct. Yes. So it's just a protocol that we created that makes it easier for them to submit all the documents.
But they could still get variances for like driveway spacings and stuff like that.
And then it goes to the Planning Commission and the board for approval as well.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
I had one under the county road. I wrote up here, Bob, because you had brought it up. You know, we're still in moratorium. How long are we going to another 10 years in moratorium? Or?
No, sir. It was extended. April 30th is the deadline. April 30th, 2019.
2019?
So, yes, every year the board extends it to 1 year. So
yeah, but we don't have to wait to 2019.
No, sir. Once the land use plan is done, then you can.
That's the biggest complaint I have down there. Now, I know it doesn't really create a situation because they can come and ask and say, hey, we want to do this, but when there's nothing to force people to make a decision, it just goes on and on and on. So personally, I think a moratorium needs to be removed and then people will function. But that was Bob's original question, and I just wrote it down there, and if he's not interested, I mean, not that he's not interested, but.
No, I'm interested.
Yeah, so.
Get the study done, then we can.
Study done. When's the study gonna be done?
Hopefully in 3 to 4 months.
When?
In 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
For the end of the year, what we're shooting for.
3 to 4 months.
We still have 2 public meetings, and then it'll come to the Planning Commission and the board. So we have 4 meetings to.
Prior to January the 8th, Bob doesn't do the motion, I'll do the motion, okay? And if he does the motion, I'll do the second, to remove the moratorium. So, unless you want to do it today. You want to wait
Well, I'd rather
3 or 4
wait
months?
Well,
I'm gonna write that down there, 3 or 4 months.
yeah, make sure they have it done before the
Yeah, I've
January
got it on my
date,
list.
or we won't have a chance to do anything.
No, that's right. The last thing is special projects. And of course, that brings in the land use plan and blah, blah, blah. Somebody wrote on my sheet of paper, sewers. And I don't know why they wrote sewers. But I think I'd like to have staff investigating this system to see which community is interested in putting in. And I know we can wait another year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or what it comes out to, for a plan to come forward that somebody's going to say, we need $60 million, and everybody's going to go, oh my God. Because you got the group that want to expand, and you got the group that don't want to expand. And you have to have respect for both groups. But, you know, if we're never going to move ahead with sewers, the rest of it won't matter. So it'll be interesting to see what they come back with in, would you say 3 to 4 months, or how long? Oh, that's
the master plan, yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
that's in
request.
September.
That's September 25th.
Yeah.
Sold him to 3 months.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you all as well. So Public Works will start out with our 3 main road projects within the sales tax. So first, 147th Street, our construction is on schedule. We have no additional change orders to be reviewed or discussed at this time. The change orders that have been approved are outlined. We have 6 of them to date. Our utility relocation, we continue to have AT&T issues along our corridor. They work with our contractors as best as possible. We have asked that they have a representative almost assigned to the project because it's so in-depth and so common. So our schedule, as mentioned, is still on track. With the Hollingsworth change order, we did add 14 days to our existing schedule to push our engineering complete for inspection and certification into 2019, sorry, that should be 2019.
With your agenda, is it going to be permissible for us to ask questions as we go?
Yes, sir.
As you go. I noticed on expenses on McIntyre. My question is when you, go ahead.
Could
We'll wait till we get
we get to McIntyre then?
Yeah,
Like
that'd
if
be
we
all
could
right.
take it section by section, so if there's any
Okay.
questions on 147th Street.
Very good.
We'll take those. So our expenses as of 8/16 on 147th Street are $4,460,000, we'll say $3,000 of our 8.3 that are anticipated. So is there any questions on the 147th Street
There we go.
report?
That was on the back side here. Any more utilities to be removed or to be negotiated with on the Lansing portion?
Sorry, are we talking about 147th Street? We're back to on McIntyre, okay.
Yeah. No, with 147th Street. Have we got all that taken care of, or where are we at with that?
Correct. All utilities have been relocated except for AT&T was relocated incorrectly by their contractor, so we continue to have conflicts within the corridor.
So I guess my question on that would be, they haven't reconciled and moved yet?
They continue to move.
They continue to move?
Yeah, so they are working now in the 3rd and 4th mile of their second relocation.
Is that going to foul up our time?
No, they continue to stay ahead of Kings.
'Cause
They work closely with Kings to know when and where they're
I
working.
go down there, and I go down there frequently, you know, it looks like it and McIntyre are about the same, you know, it's in like disarray. Not your problem, because the bids have already gone out, but it looks a little bit disarray, you know.
So this time period in construction typically looks like nothing's getting done and everything's all a mess, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden one day it'll be paved and opened and great. So we do meet with them bi-weekly for contractor updates, as well as to go through any complaints that we received or any items that we noticed as we go through our inspections, such as field entrances that may have been missed in the design process. So we've been working with farmers on those, relocating things slightly to better assist folks. So we're constantly in the mix.
Have we finished Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Okay, because I saw the 330,000 on here. The other things, utility relocation and change orders, if those do not, and you said there was no more change orders that you knew of.
Correct. At this time, there's none to discuss.
But there
There's
could
none
be
new.
comes.
Correct.
So that will be lessening the contract because you have $602,000 down there. I didn't say million, Bob.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm watching you.
So will that bring that down? In other words, if there are no more change orders, we've spent 602 or we got 602 left?
Which number are you looking at?
I'm on the
Down
bottom
at the bottom.
page.
Oh, for
Says
change orders?
change orders.
So there's no budget for that, that's why there's no secondary number. So it's just an extra number that's added on to the total.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
We typically have about a 15% contingency built in, so some of those change orders you'll notice are very small or are zero. And then some change orders don't come in as actual change orders, and since there's no monetary exchange or design change to alleviate or assist
Okay.
with the change order costs.
McIntyre, unless somebody else has a question.
No.
McIntyre.
So McIntyre Road, demobilization occurred June 1st. It has remobilized as of 8/20. We anticipate our winter shutdown beginning at the end of October through the end of February. So the revised project completion date is 6/24/19. With that revised project completion date, we do anticipate construction delay change order with pricing for 2019, similarly to how we saw on 147th Street. They will start compiling that information. However, as 147th Street, we did not accept anything until values were real in 2019.
Why would you
But they will have it all
a winter
outlined.
shutdown in October?
Those are the days the contractors are needed.
They will
October.
continue to work as long as they can, but what they don't want to do is start to pull up different areas of the road that then become very soft over the winter and cause freeze and thaw issues with people getting stuck.
That was going to be a question, yeah.
I
Seems like
think that's
contracts are
ridiculous,
done in
but whatever.
favor of the contractor because,
It's fine to do it, but don't come back and put a change order in because you don't want to work.
The change order is not because they don't want to work, it's because of the County Rural Water 1 delays that forced them to shut down over the summer during their key working hours.
it just, you know, my days of working for contractors, which was in the 50s, okay? We kept working until all of a sudden somebody said, whoop, that's it. Now I don't know what these people do. Do they do it at large? Is it time for vacation for the employees? I don't know. Or do they go south and work somewhere in the south? You know,
Well, we could ask them for winter modes where they have to come in and get heaters and things like that, and what kind of cost estimate that is.
But for another change order.
Correct. I mean, it's just a different type of change order. They anticipated having all concrete and all asphalt complete by the end of October.
Okay.
For the entire project. This project was to be complete in this calendar year.
And we kept track of those days.
Yes, sir.
And they start up on February the 25th of 2019. And they work again, and we keep track of those days. We add them together. They're now exceeding their contract.
No, their contract timeline is still the same, it's just pricing. So pricing, their existing bid is to be completed in 2018, and so 2019 pricing changes. Very similar to what we had to go through with 147th. When they bid, they had a specific end date, and so their bid pricing was based upon certain calendar days and within specific calendar years. And when you start changing that, you end up pushing things into different calendar years and different pricing points.
I see very many punitive, and that's what they are, entities that say, you've got the bid, it says it's going to be done in 90 days, and then comes the 90 days, and, well, we need to extend it because we found rock, we found this. I see very few entities that put a true penalty on, whether it's school district, cities. It's a very lenient. And, you know.
In our contracts that we have with our three, or I guess our two road projects that we have right now, they do have allowances for if they come in contact with rock, you know, those days and things like that. We allow for that to be discussed and addressed by the contractor to the county.
So they would have a rock clause? Is that what you're calling it?
I believe that is what it was, wasn't it, DVP?
I think it was just under force majeure or
Unforeseen circumstances.
I think if I was going to do a road, I'd personally check to see if there's any rock there before.
We did.
We do as best as we can with geotechnical services and things like that. But I mean, even Rural Water District 1 came into so much rock that they changed their design on McIntyre Road.
And they know that before they bid on it?
No, they thought they were going to be relocating their entire line.
Yeah.
So they had to change their design because of what they encountered. So it's very similar to if we were to encounter things, you know, we discuss what options we have to minimize the overall impacts of unforeseen circumstances.
Okay. Any other questions on McIntyre? Let's go to Dwight David.
So Eisenhower Road. Our design BMP feasibility package was reviewed and recommendations have been accepted by the City of Lansing and the City of Leavenworth. So an RBA for a change order related to that BMP design implementation is being prepared in accordance with the MOU. So that will be coming across your guys' desk within probably the next 2 weeks. Property acquisition, so rezoning is complete with the City of Lansing. Condemnation packages for 2 tracts were submitted to the county councilor. 1 tract was negotiated for settlement out of court. We're awaiting the results of the second the second tract. Our schedule, the project is in 95% complete, and our plans are nearly completed with the exception of those BMPs being included. So the expenses as of 8/16 are indicated as approximately $2 million of our $11 million budget.
Any questions?
No.
I have two. We should have had this done by now. That's what I hear out on the streets. And out on the streets, they don't understand that the park has none of the problems that we have. The park was done, and they didn't have to get condemned land. They didn't have to do anything with utilities. Did we ever approach, are we moving water, or is somebody moving water lines?
I'm not aware of water lines being relocated. If they need to be, they will be, but we're not really acquiring much additional right-of-way. We're acquiring temporary easements, but if our cuts and fills require relocation or adjustments, that they will be conducted.
Of course, that's City of Leavenworth water, right?
No.
It is.
There's rural water out there as well.
Water District 8 has
Well,
a
that's
pump
District
house
8.
there. Yep.
Okay. The reason I was bringing that up was, you know, they got water free in the park. The Leavenworth Water Department, which is not a part of the City of Leavenworth, it's a different entity, they volunteered to put the park water in for nothing. Good deal. We don't get that. So, okay. PRP.
So the Participatory Road Program, the public meeting for 174th Street in Donahue, which was held in the Basser Public Library, was a success. Many questions and misconceptions were addressed by the Public Works Department. There were 38 property owners and 4 public officials, to include Public Works, Mark Lawfrey, and Mayor Brewer. The easement acquisition for our easements on 187th and 174th are in process, as well as Donahue. So we're in process on 174th and Donahue. 174th, we received a lot of easements after the meeting. So we have 16 of 24 obtained at the time of this report. Donahue is a little slower moving. We have 5 of 11 obtained. 187th, we have comments and revisions going out prior to the mailing being conducted between the surveyors. Our utility relocation on 178th Street, all easements are obtained, and we're coordinating with those utility companies. County Rural Water 1 still holds up half mile of Donahue west of 155th, as well as the Kelly, McPherson, and 119th loop.
Okay. Anybody got any questions on that PRP?
Well, if we pave these roads in place, Rural Water 1 wouldn't hold us up. Is that correct?
I think that's something that we would address once we have all the signatures, the needed signatures for the additional right-of-way that we've requested from them. Once we have all those, then we can discuss whether or not we want to handle this the same way we handled Hollingsworth, which wouldn't require the utility move.
If you've driven on Hollingsworth, I don't see why you wouldn't want to handle it like that.
And if that is the way that we would like to handle it, we request permission to be allowed to move forward on easements for Donahue, half mile west of 155th, as well as Kelly, McPherson, and 119th, as those been on complete hold since the Rural Water District 1 conversation.
How much time do you need to get these?
Typically,
5
it takes
months, 6 months?
Typically, it takes 60 days to create the easements, and then we provide them 60 days to review and get the easements in, and it allows us to go out and meet with the property owners and address any questions.
Get 100% easements?
We would need to in order for them to be eligible for any type of improvement, yes.
So you've brought this up once before, and I hate to say this in public. Let me turn my sound off. I thought it was a very good idea. And don't let that go to your head, okay?
I know it was a good idea.
Yeah. But we're still talking about it, and there needs to be a cutoff time And I would,
Well, look, from the time we asked for the change order on Hollingsworth and the time the pavement was down, that was a turnaround, pretty fast turnaround.
faster.
You know, we've talked about 182nd Street getting done for 11 years. We talked about it longer than it's going to take to get that project done. I mean, seriously, we've got to start doing these roads.
I understand that. So you want to write that down before
I'll remember it.
Bob and I leave?
I'll remember it.
I'm going to write down Doug's Road. Okay?
Doug's Road.
That's on my list, see?
Program. My road's done.
No, I'm
I
writing
live
down.
on Black
Yeah, I
Mountain.
know that. I'm going to write down Doug's Roads because you brought up the idea. I think it's very good, and we'll get on down the line.
Please keep in mind for the Hollingsworth, we had contractors on site and we had paving activities going on within the next 2 weeks, which made it very advantageous for the timeline.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's why we did it.
Yep.
Correct.
So we'll bring that up in, how many days you want?
Well, if you would like for us to get started on acquiring easements, we need permission today to begin to do that.
Do you want to do that, or do you just want to do it?
Well, how are we coming on the easements on all these other projects we got?
Which projects are you referring to?
187th Street, they're being prepared to be mailed out.
108, yeah.
174th, we have 16 of 24. Donahue, we have 5 of 11. 178th, we have 100%.
You've got it on 163rd, you've got 5 of 11.
We don't, you mean Donahue? Donahue, half mile east and
163rd.
west of 163rd.
163rd going from Leavenworth Road to
Hollingsworth.
Hollingsworth.
That's under
We aren't acquiring right-of-way on that project anymore. You move that to dust abatement.
Okay,
Very good.
so that's what we're going to talk about on these other roads, move them to dust abatement.
Yeah.
Well, they are, the ones that are here now, they're PRP, so they still require the participation of the owner of giving us the right of way.
Right,
But
right.
we can construct them as dust abatement.
Right.
If that's the board's direction. And then that would alleviate probably 99% of the utility relocation as well.
And it would alleviate all change orders. We've spent more on change orders on 2 projects than we have on these secondary road projects.
Yep. So Doug's Road's going to need, what, 60 days for you to get all these?
Now, the
It
direction-
typically takes 60 days from start to finish. We're requesting that you allow us to unhold County Rural Water 1 projects in order to obtain easements.
Today is the
21st.
21st, so that'd be the 21st of October.
You'll still be here, Louis. So will I.
21st October. Got it down.
I hope we're here.
So that's the direction then, to the board consensus to take allow them to move forward with those 2 projects that are on hold and handle them as a dust abatement so we don't have to do the utility relocation.
That would be what I would move for.
And that
Dust
will,
abatement.
That's what we call it.
If all easements are
Right,
obtained.
if
Right.
all the easements are donated, right, correct. Then on 178th Street, was that one that, I noticed we're working with utility relocation, is that one that would also,
That one's going to have to be rebuilt and designed.
all right.
And it's already designed. We're jumping ahead here, I guess, on that.
okay. 21st October, or the Tuesday thereof.
Did I get a second for my motion?
You didn't do a motion. I said I'd go along with it.
Okay, we got a consensus?
Got a consensus to.
Good enough?
For them to move forward and bring it back on in 60, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I think Bob goes along with it. Do you, Bob? There you go.
Okay.
That's about as much consensus as we can get. Okay. Did you want to talk about bridge replacement, or is that just?
We can, it's on
Yeah.
here. Bridge
Yeah.
replacement projects, we currently have 6 bridges that are in the design process. We have 2, HP 10 and HP 17, that are scheduled to start construction tentatively around mid-October.
They're going to get it done in 2 weeks?
Their schedule is to have them completed in 2018.
We got one company pulling out on the, what was it, the 25th of October, and we got one.
Well, these are 2 small bridge projects. They're right
Yeah.
around the corner from each other.
Yeah.
Concrete can be poured in fairly cold weather, so
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of limiting factors for these
Okay.
two projects.
Sounds good.
Road projects, 182nd Street is under construction. It's moving along. 179th Street, the first coat of chip and seal has been completed.
Looks terrible.
It's rough, and I'm talking with the contractors about it. They're aware of it.
Very good.
235th Street from Hollingsworth to Dempsey, that is in the design process. Survey has been completed. Hollingsworth Road, 147th to 155th, has been completed. The asphalt has been laid. 150th Street, that project was awarded to Bettis. Their tentative schedule is late September to complete that project. The remaining 9 projects on the list were moved from engineering design to dust abatement. So we actually met with the consultant yesterday morning to get the dust abatement projects kicked off. So that's underway.
I think we better talk about 223rd, Leavenworth Road, 219th. You're showing 719 cars a day?
That's the tube count. It's probably, you know, those tube counts can be messed with. So that.
Well, even if it's double, that's still a lot of traffic.
Yeah, as you know, there's a lot of cars that probably go out to that.
There was an accident last night on that road down in there.
Can we put a roundabout in there and take care of that?
No, we can't put a roundabout in there. But with that much traffic, I don't know about taking it off the design.
What's moved the excess traffic there, if that is a true count?
It's probably a pretty good count because there's a recycle place down in that area. Salvage yard and recycling. I mean, that's a ridiculous traffic count for a gravel road.
And dust control wouldn't take care of that?
The road's not, it's got some pretty bad curves in it.
Well,
And
but 127th Street is taking care of a lot of big semis and dump trucks.
well, that's what I don't want to see this one be an 18-foot wide road. I don't support 18-foot wide road.
No 18-footers.
Especially not when there's 700 cars a day on it.
Well,
with
that's
truck
true.
traffic going down to the recycle place.
Well, I think one of the things that was discussed here is that some improvement's better than no improvement. If you leave it on the design, it's going to take longer to do anything on that road.
Yes.
Than if we move forward with what you motion vote you took last time, which was to take it off for the full design and put it on to the.
Okay. So are we going to be asking for right of way on these projects?
No.
We won't?
The dust abatement does not acquire any additional easements or relocate any utilities.
That's true.
Well, then let's leave it alone and let's get a schedule together for these roads.
How much-
They started that yesterday. They started working.
We had a kickoff meeting with the consultant yesterday morning.
What's the mileage on that? Doing that road?
Mileage on
Doing that, is that a mile and a half, or what?
that A is approximately a mile.
Mile, okay. So we could get that done early, couldn't we? Somebody could.
Okay. Let's see, we got,
Okay.
I was just looking at these traffic counts. What would be the time, were you working on time frames on these? Like you got Stillwell, 100 to 158 to 170th?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're kind of grouping them together in like 4 or 5, 6 miles around the county. So when we bid them, we'll bid like 4, 5, 6 miles at a time. So the consultant will pick an area to start on, and that's where we'll do it the first round, and then they'll move from that on to get all of them. We expect all these to be designed and ready to be constructed in 2019.
With that kind of count on there and redoing it to dust control, where's that traffic going to go in the meantime? It can't handle 719 if you're doing some remodeling, I wouldn't think.
Well, there's not many alternate routes into that destination. So
County Road 30 in Garrett.
Yeah, most people will continue to drive through the construction site. They'll drive around the barricades and they'll
just like them commissioners do and checking on 147th Street. They go around the barricades and check on them.
They do that.
I guess, that's what I heard one say.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't do that.
Boy, I do. Dang right. Then I gotta go down and turn around.
So you're saying 171st Street between Parallel and Leavenworth Road could be done next year with asphalt?
Or chip and seal.
Either asphalt or chip and seal.
We have
yes.
both going out for bid.
Okay.
I'm concerned, I don't see anything up here in District 1, do you?
Well, I was going to bring that up. But,
Well, I wanted to bring it
He
up.
got that 207th Street that was ASHTO standards that ate all his
Yeah,
money
they
up.
Well-
need to be ASHTO standards.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of money.
That's right.
County Road 30. How come County Road 30 stops?
Well, we did that while you guys were here, though. That just got done. I thought we talked about that last year. We were gonna start a pavement project.
We are, and if you'll, our list,
Ran out of money.
our list has got 195th Street going that in Stranger and all that.
Yeah.
So it will tie together.
Any other questions on road?
No, I'm just, like I said, I'm ready for 2019 to get here so we can get these roads done.
So am I. I'm waiting with bated breath. Are we through with your PRP down the road improvement? So we can go to the safety reviews and the mark.
So with safety reviews, K16 Sandusky to 134th Street, that striping and signage will be complete by the end of the summer. So we should have the signage going in, and then our striping company will be doing the striping. Signage reviews, we've had stop sign additions, speed limit locations, bus stop additions, as well as Blind Hill additions come in. We've had approximately 8 of them in the past about 6 weeks. So we get those turned around within approximately 2 weeks after the engineering review. And if anything is warranted, our request for signage goes out to the shop and it gets installed.
Is there going to be any truck signs on 127th?
No truck signs were requested for signage review, so no.
Why not?
We're not putting back in
These are typically
signage.
resident requested items. People call in with concerns, so we'll look into it and see if some signage.
County Commissioner can't have any input?
If you want to request something, yeah,
I'd like a no truck sign put on no
the resolution, the one that references.
Commercial vehicles?
no commercial vehicles.
I believe there's one on, but I'll check. If not, would you like one up on?
I would, well, there has to be a consensus.
So there's one on 100 and I thought there was one on each. But yeah, we can definitely double check to see.
And then we can pass that on to the sheriff, and we have put a no commercial. But he only hands out 1.67 tickets a day, so. Okay. That was under signage. Go ahead. Did you have anything else on that?
No additional information on
Okay.
safety reviews.
'Cause I have something on Mark. You know that?
Okay. So our MARC call for projects, our infrastructure projects, no awards were to Leavenworth County or the cities within. While we did not score high enough to get within the first ranking, and we were recommended for award by the committees, there was not enough monies to go around in order to provide any funding to our projects.
How many counties we got in Mark? 7? Is that what there is in there? Used to be 7. Did Johnson
Six
County
or
get any
seven, I
money?
think. Johnson County did get money, Wyandotte
Oh, my God, I
County
don't
did as
believe it.
well.
Johnson County got money and we didn't?
Well, I don't think.
You know that's going to happen. every
Cities
time.
within,
Cities within
so.
Johnson County.
Didn't Baser put in for something?
Correct.
Sidewalk?
Baser, the city of Baser, the city of Leavenworth, and the county proper all had
And we didn't get
items
anything?
in. We did not this year. So we have received funding in the past, but we did not receive any funding this year.
Well, I had it written down, I took it a little further. I said, I had a star down here. I said, what has Leavenworth County, Leavenworth City, or Leavenworth cities received in the last 5 years, and what have we paid out?
We can
I'd like to
report
know
back
that
on
figure.
that.
Has anybody got any
No.
problem with
No,
that?
I'd like to know that myself.
Yeah.
I know we've gotten a couple off-system bridges, haven't we? We've received
We've
some money.
received bridges.
Yeah.
I know each one, I know.
I know the one on High Prairie.
And
We can-
High Prairie got,
If you'd like the
funding.
last 5 years, we can
Yeah.
review that.
yeah.
And what we paid out, you have to go to the clerk for that, you know, what our dues and all that is. Somewhere we have to develop a significance. If Wyandotte County and Leavenworth County hadn't laid down to Johnson County back when they ran the water line, pulled the water out of the river, hauled it down to South Johnson County so they can go on down to 250th, 260th, everywhere in the heck they're going to go. Wyandotte didn't get any money. We take the sewage, and we don't get anything for it. I don't know how we're taking all that sewage. Somewhere the crop ground would run out, I would think, and we don't get anything.
how did that happen?
Well,
How did it happen?
there had to be some commissioners lay down and say, yes, boss, or something. I don't know what they said.
It is unusual. They came up here and drill wells and take water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and we got nothing.
we get nothing.
But-
And everybody's happy with it.
I'm not.
Well, good. You happy with it?
Nope.
I'm not happy. So I don't know who the commissioners were that laid down, but they wouldn't have listened to anybody out in the audience anyway. That was a total
There's only
disgrace.
so many water rights too.
Yep,
But anyways,
okay.
just one question. When, like you said, no cities within the county, do you guys work with the cities when you do these applications?
Yes.
Or does everybody just stand alone on that?
We worked with the cities for this funding round. In the future, the way that they're reviewing scoring as well as award, we'll probably collaborate with the cities on which is the best method to submit in order to have everybody appear as they stand alone.
Well, that's like, Eisenhower, we should be able to get some kind of funding out of that. If you got Lansing, Leavenworth, and the county, 3 entities applying for money at one time.
We did get money for it. We got almost $1 million. But by the time we did,
It's gonna cost you $1.5 million.
it was going to cost $1.5 million
Yeah.
to accept that $1 million. And I pointed that out.
Yeah, if they were just throwing you
They
a
were-
bone there.
right,
But I
that's
mean,
all
we're
they
talking
were
about
doing.
real money. I'm talking,
Right.
$4 or $5 million.
That's right.
Then you can afford to make your changes and
I know I made
upgrades.
a commissioner very mad that day when I pointed that out.
You can't afford to take the
We
money.
couldn't afford to take the money.
So they're looking at Mark with the Federal Highway Administration is looking at minimum projects sizing as well as funding in order to try to have those $5 million awards go out instead of the $200,000, $65,000 to be more impactful. So when we get more involved in that, once the submissions go to Federal Highway Administration, I'll be able to report more on how those communications and conversations go between Mark, KDOT, and Federal Highway with all the
Sir,
committees.
God
Yes, sir.
bless your heart. Do you think I'd be any more offended if I got turned down on 5 million or 500,000? I'm offended either way. There is no respect for Leavenworth County. Now, we can go along behind all the doors and kiss and the system and what we do, but we're really totally insignificant, and we're not getting the point across to Mark because of who knows what reason. It's simple. Is it right? Is it wrong? And can you afford to do it? That's mentally, financially, morally, ever what you want to look at. Somebody ought to be on that board saying, we haven't given Leavenworth County or we haven't done this for a long time. Maybe we ought to give them their $200,000 and give Johnson County $5,800,000, take away $200,000 of their money. You can give them 8 lanes on 435, 35, any road you want down there, And it's not going to be enough. We have to learn to take care of 11 County people. And that's why I'm saying the sewer.
Many
People-
smaller communities and rural counties are having similar struggles that we are, where we just don't score the way that projects do. You know, we don't have the projects that address walkable, livable communities. We don't have the high densities that create the
Right.
higher scores. So scoring is going to be reviewed, as well as appropriate spaces, appropriate places. Some of these larger projects just don't make sense for our community or communities like ours at the place and time where we're all at. So that is definitely a conversation that is consistently and commonly had in our committee member meetings, and KDOT and Mark and Federal Highway are discussing and reevaluating how to change up that analysis. Other states have done things a little bit differently with state funding, so they're bringing in some examples, but those are all conversations that will be had over the next 6 to 8 months prior to the next round of
We
funding
just gave money
requests.
to Linwood, right?
We have not, but it will be in 2019.
Yeah.
That's
We've
correct.
given Linwood money. It wasn't Tonganoxie, Basel, Lansing, or Leavenworth. We gave money. Why did we give them? We shouldn't even considered them. We should be just like Mark.
No.
They don't consider, you know.
Well, I don't think that us taking a precedent that we want to be like Mark, works
Well, I
either.
agree. I'm saying
I
that
think, taking a look at how Johnson County set up theirs as well to start assisting their smaller areas where they do a very unique scenario where everybody gives their money to a specific bank, and then everyone applies, and then the county redistributes it, so that way it does seem more fair and open and things like that. So one of the staff members approached me and another small rural community and kind of gave the history of how they implemented it. I don't know if that's right for us either. However, it'll be interesting to kind of see the ideas that are generated that I'm able to come back to you all with.
It'll be the same. That's
Well,
right.
I really thought Basel would get the sidewalk thing. I
It
mean,
was
they need it.
recommended,
They
and
need it.
there's a lot of different committees as well as communities that said that they would give up 20 grand in order to give it to a specific project. However, not every community had the authorization to do that or the budget that they could give up part of their funding right there on the spot. So there's just not enough funding to go around for all the projects that were ranked and received, as well as those that were recommended. But Basel sidewalk was highly recommended.
But not high enough.
Yep.
There was not enough money, so it was high enough. There was just not enough money to go around.
So then next year they should get funding?
I can't.
I mean, if
I
it's so
can't
highly,
say that.
it's so
We will
close, you would
continue to
think the next time
resubmit and work
funding was
with the
available, we would get the money.
Basel City to resubmit or to find other funding sources for similar projects.
Until Leavenworth County takes some kind of action, nothing will ever be changed. And if it will be, it won't be in probably my lifetime, Doug's lifetime, who knows what. It goes to the big guy. It's always done that. So, okay. So I got written down here, let's make sure Johnson County gets more money. That's very, personnel.
All right, we've had 13 new hires this past quarter. Most of those were summer helps. We currently have 5 job postings for 10 openings. We are preparing to do annual reviews of all employees by the end of 2018. Administrative items. Continue to work on the Public Works Handbook.
Bless you.
Working with planning zoning on the entrance permit process. Possibly making some changes to that. Maintenance this year, they have patched 115 miles of hard surface road. Patched, and 3 miles of maintenance extension were completed by our shop crews. Traffic counts are ongoing. I think he only has a handful of those left to complete, and that data will be released in the fall. Buildings and Grounds, EMS Station Remodel Number 2 has started demolition. The solid waste concrete paving project is scheduled to start later this week. Weather's looking good for that project. Justice Center, the new south entrance to the parking lot, the plans for that have been submitted to the City of Leavenworth. Once we get their blessing or comments, we will get that out to bid to get that entrance put in.
Will we get lines painted where there need to be lines?
That'll be part of the project, yes. The whole parking lot will be restriped.
No, I'm talking about County Road 5.
Oh, the county roads, yes. Actually, they were supposed to start Monday, but due to the rain, they got pushed back to either Wednesday or Thursday this week.
I don't mind getting
How come they weren't here in July?
Yeah.
Well, we were still working on chip sealing a lot of those roads in July.
They were done.
Well, I think historically, if we look back, I'm not sure.
No, I can look back historically. I had them roads done.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Them roads were done. For the county fair, I had Tonganoxie Road done. I had 158th and 155th done before school started. There's no reason for that.
That's the only reason I didn't go to the fair this year. I felt it was unsafe to ride on that road. I always go on that road.
If you need me, I will take over the striping next year. Because I am sick of these calls I've gotten on strike.
And it's amazing. That's what people call on. It's totally amazing. So
I had them there in July. They would leave. They'd come back.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like 179th Street either.
Well, maybe we can do something up here. He can resign, and prior to that, we'll reappoint him to Road and Bridge, and he can take over.
Just for the striping.
Just for striping. Okay.
And how are they going to fix 179?
It's up to we haven't accepted that road. The road's not done. It's up to the contractor to come up with a solution to fix it.
Not a change order, I hope.
No, we just want to, at this point, we just won't accept it. We won't accept it. We won't make final payment.
I mean, if they shoot it again on the second seal coat, it's still going to be rough.
Yep.
We're waiting for I've talked with the contractors. I'm waiting for their plan of action to smooth it up.
Keep us informed on that.
I'm aware that it is rough.
So is all the people that are calling.
And they got a better road than they had before that probably they shouldn't have had. But that's
It's
all.
not a smoother road. It just doesn't have as much dust. It's rougher than they had before.
Okay. Any other questions of Public Works?
Nope, just so we get the striping done.
Just get striping done. We'll see Sarah and they'll be out there with paintbrushes.
At least it'll be something.
Do we have anything else that we really want to do that's important? Oh, okay. It says a staff report by our GIS department. Morning.
That's all right. We wanted to save the best for last.
There you go. I'm the only one here today. Decided to make sure somebody covered my office. Besides the maintenance of the existing layers over the last quarter, it takes about 70% of our time to keep all the different map layers we've got up to date with the most current changes. We created some new layers. Since it's election season, we've been busy creating political maps for many various people involved in the elections, from the county clerk to campaign personnel to the public. We've got maps of voter districts, polling locations, commission districts, state rep, senate, etc. One of the new maps this year was the 5 district commission districts. We had to create a couple different scenarios of that. State NG 911 committee mandates that all counties upload their NG 911 map layers quarterly to the state's database. So we first run that data through a QC tool, quality control tool, that inspects for errors. We are the data stewards for all the cities in the county, including Leavenworth City. They do their own NG 911 database, but then we QC that layer too before we turn it in to the state. And that's a statute required task. When you were talking about Mark earlier, I just wanted to throw out there that Mark does a couple things. There's a lot of different entities with Mark, and I know you're having issues with some of the other entities, but as far as GIS and the Sheriff's Office, Mark does a pretty good service for us with the NG 911 data layers. They not only turn those in for us, we go through their Mark personnel to turn those layers in. They help us with some costs for contractors if we need that. They also help the Sheriff's Dispatch pay for software and hardware. And some of the personnel at Mark take care of the MSAG, that's the Master Street Address Grid that NG911 requires from communities for all the other cities. I do Leavenworth County, but Basehor, Tongi, Lansing, Mark does the MSAG for those cities. Something else we're working on is the 2018 aerial photos. We've got the new photos are complete, and I'm in the process of QCing them now. We should have them available to all the other county departments and the public by Halloween. The appraiser is already using the raw photos for their agricultural land use project, updating changes to farm ground. But that's another Mark thing I wanted to bring up is if we flew those photos on our own, it would cost us $70,000. We go in with the Mark project and use them to develop the contract between the photogrammetry company and us, and with the cost savings by going in with the other 7 counties and all the cities within, we only paid $24,000. So when you get that list together of how much Mark
pays
the
first time?
Well, it would cost us, the very first time we flew was $300,000.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, back in the very beginning, but technology changes drop that to about $70,000, and that's if we flew on our own. But when we get the list together of what we get out of Mark, I want to add in there, that they saved us about $50,000 on the aerial photo project. Plus, I would estimate, I'd have to get this figure from the sheriff, but dispatch, but the personnel at Mark that does the MSAG for us and the cities, I'd say that maybe half a person's salary.
Don't they do that for every community, though?
In the Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about the extra when we're...
Right, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is we're working on a new layer for a cattle owner's map for Sheriff's Dispatch. This is something they've asked for like 10 years. We finally got enough data in there to where we can build a map layer, so in the event that a loose cow reports, they can more easily pinpoint who the cow owner is.
Usually the same old people, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of repeat offenders.
I can name you about 5 of them.
We finally got our new fence up, so I got my name off that list.
Okay, 4 now.
State statute requires us to do the appraiser's parcel ownership map, ag use map, and a soil map. So we process about 15 deeds a day and a subdivision once a month to keep all their records up to date according to state statute. Future projects, we've been asked several years now to produce a planimetric map layer that shows building footprints in a vector data instead of a raster data format. The least expensive bid we've ever had to get this digital layer was about $20,000. But at this point, my contractors come up with some new software where we can actually create that in-house a lot cheaper. So that's one project we're working on completing. Budget-wise, we're within where we should be for the year. There's one anomaly I want to talk about though on my budget last year. Since I just got this report for this month, I didn't know it until I'd already turned the report in, but the $26,000 for aerial photos, they just took that out of the wrong account. So if you put the 26 back in my budget bottom line, it puts us where we should be. That comes out of an equipment reserve. We put $12,000 in there every year, and then we fly every other year. So there's about $26,000 in there.
You saying you can save some of that 20,000. You're really the person that I thought you are. You could rig your plane up, go up there and
duct tape somebody to the belly.
Then we'd be back up to the 300,000 again. So let's just stay the course here. It's been going down since.
Fly those section lines and take those pictures.
Mm-hmm. I thought about that. Can't be that hard.
Well, it'd be conflict of interest now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I have.
Anybody got any questions?
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Okay, now, how about and I don't know why they removed that. For a while, I thought we had a line under there that said miscellaneous conversation, but it goes right to adjournment. What happened to that line?
I think if you look at Section 8, presentation and discussion.
I don't like looking at Section 8.
Yeah, Section 8.
So,
the same.
also, well, that's next week. We've got those meetings. You have anything you want to bring up?
No, sir, I think we covered it all.
Bob?
Nope.
I'm just going to read my list. We don't have to talk about any of them. Well, two of them we'll have to talk about. More roads is always on here. More money. Marketing for LCDC and Port Authority. Bob's idea. Rezoning County Road 1. Remove the moratorium. The county plan. Sewers need to be concentrating how you're going to come up with the money for sewers. I'd like to see some city come forward and say, hey, we'd like a sewage treatment plant here, and then we'll be able to treat this much land, and we'll run the water that comes off of it. And I'm talking about a sewage treatment plant, not just a holding tank where Mother Nature's going to take care of it. The 2 mills, that's going to come back later. And that bothers me. We could have a person sitting up here with a conflict of interest. And that person is on the Northeast Mental Health Board. And they're going to come back to us, I'm sure, to ask for the 2 mills, which was way over what they needed. As I said before, it brings in $1.350 million for Northeast Mental Health to get the money to run a program for the schools. Schools need to take care of schools, the county needs to take care of the county, and the cities take care of the cities. But
when it does come back, Mr. Chairman, I think we should point out that Leavenworth Schools lowered their mill levy 4 mills. I believe Tonganoxie lowered theirs just a little bit. And I think Baser remained flat.
Yes, Baser did.
And I'm not sure about Pleasant Ridge area, what they did. But
I think they went down.
They've all
flatter, yeah.
Okay,
Flatter
but Leavenworth was a big deal, 4 mills.
Big deal.
So why do we want to raise our mill levy too?
We're not.
But we would have to if we...
Well, but I think there needs to be
way.
some more discussions with the schools, the local school boards. It's kind of where they was wanting this money to go to.
Well, what are we going to have a discussion?
See, they have the authority to do that themselves.
Yep.
That's
Why don't
correct.
they do that themselves instead of lowering their mill levy?
That's correct. That's where I was heading with that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it when she said it, and
Well, but we didn't know what their budgets were going to be
right.
at the time. We listened to the presentation. But anyways, I know where you're going.
Yeah, and the last items on here are, I'd like to see if staff can come up with some policies that we could look at and say, yes, that's a good idea. Doesn't have to be voted on to be done today, except I would like to be able to direct staff. Number one was, and it just keeps coming in. It just keeps, not armed guards. High school, I think it's interesting, went to armed guards. Don't care about that. This is down in the lower corner of the paper, of John's paper, and it was talking about some voting.
You named the paper
Oh, here
after
it
John
is.
now?
Huh? Yeah,
Named the paper after John?
I want somebody professional down there. No, this was on World War II voting, and I read that off once before. And all the problems that have been coming in, you know, Johnson County did the, $10 million worth of voting machines. I'd like to see if staff could come up with a policy that we could agree to on 3 things. Mail-in voting, policy on depreciation of accumulating that over here, because on the cars, we never did find out what the pickup trucks were, did we? Where they got 4-wheel drive?
Well, I'm sure they do.
Well, you know, sure.
I'm a betting guy.
Yeah, well, I'm not a betting guy. So I'd like to see mail-in voting. It doesn't take place. You got to ask the Congress to do it, and then it's open to every county. The county doesn't want to do it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd rather see Saturday voting before I'd see mail-in voting. When all these people are working, paying their taxes,
Well,
they're off on
But that's not what the
Saturdays.
system's going to.
There's some states that do Saturday voting.
Well, that's probably true. So all I'm saying is 3 things. Mail-in voting. See if we can develop a policy that we would present to our legislators that in 10 years they will get it okayed because there will be massive fraud, not just minor fraud, upon a policy on the use of unused salaries being located within departments. And we keep it over here in courthouse general, capital, I don't, there must be somewhere. So that's what I'd like to see staff present. And I don't know, is that something that you could present to us?
Sounds like it'd be more the administrator and the clerk would have to work together on. Is that where I'm getting?
Yeah.
Well, policy on depreciation and the use of unused salaries, I think those are well within our scope. Policy on mail-in voting, obviously not within our scope for approval here.
True.
Something to present to the our legislators for consideration wouldn't necessarily be a policy. It would be proposed legislation change, which I think we've already got on our list of.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, pursuant to your earlier discussions, Mark and I have looked into the use of mail ballot elections on other than question-submitted elections. We could prepare a position paper that would be presented to your local legislators because it would require state legislation. The complicating factor is that every 2 years it would also involve federal elections, at least for the House of Representatives, and every 4 years possibly senatorial elections, but also the presidential elections.
But they allow write-in ballots, don't they?
Absentee ballots at this time are allowed.
No, I'm talking every one of theirs.
Yes, but it would require some special legislation to be adopted, but we could prepare that for you.
Unless somebody's got a big complaint, I'd like to at least look at it.
I have no complaint.
As long as you look at my Saturday voting, Saturday elections.
Well,
attach it to the bill.
or the current existing system with a Saturday vote?
Yeah.
You're going to give them 20 days. They got 20 days to do a mail-in ballot. But so is there any disagreement on?
No.
Okay. Does staff understand what we want?
I think so.
Okay. Anything else?
Just the headlines the other day.
Which headlines?
Uh,
High school's got
Eisenhower,
armed guards.
the city lawsuit.
Oh, the city lawsuit.
Yeah. You don't have that paper.
Yeah. That thing there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that disturb you?
Well, a little bit. Never did support a roundabout, you know. But I don't know why it's going to continue on in court.
Well, I think they're pushing the effort. If you read what Mark said, in here was a comment putting in the lights. How was that worded?
I thought we just agreed to go back to the memo of understanding.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought this thing was dead.
I did too.
Well, but they want some life in it, so there are different types of lights. There are stoplights, and then there are stoplights.
Right.
So I think what they're trying to do is push it to, we don't have the option of any kind of stoplight. Electronic stoplight, and they have worded it in here, and I'm not going to take up.
The one design was just going to be put the conduit in and get it ready for when the lights.
Yes,
are,
that was one.
Right.
But that is, what the system boils down to, what's in it for me? I don't care about anybody else. I want it. That's the way the whole system has changed today. It's what's in it for me. Whether it would have been a roundabout or not, I'd like to have known whether that accident the other day at 20th and Eisenhower was a bad accident. My EMS director said he didn't know. I would have had that as a high priority. If the old man had, and I knew how the old man reacted to different things in the service, I would have had an attitude that I got to find out because I got to report to him someday what kind of accident that was. So he didn't have to get into micromanaging because he didn't like to do that. But you give Tonganoxie $5 million, you give Leavenworth $5 million, you don't give Lansing anything, and they're upset over it, and they are deeply emotional over it. And we had talked about a roundabout. We removed that. Mm-hmm. They don't want the conduit. They want some kind of light there. And there's many different types of lights that you can put there. Does that intersection deserve a four-way stoplight? We had agreed, I thought, to putting the conduit in. Oh, we don't want that.
What's the MOU say? We signed that MOU. In fact, I signed it.
Right. Okay. I wasn't here.
Right. I signed that MOU. So what's the MOU say?
Commissioners, the memorandum of understanding does address that the appropriate signage and signaling would be put in. Inasmuch as this matter is currently before the district court, I would suggest that any additional discussion possibly be undertaken in executive session. If I could offer this thought, though, the city of Leavenworth requested and was allowed to submit an amended petition on or before August 31st. At that time, I think it might be clear as to what the city is actually asking for. I have prepared a memorandum which you can pick up before you leave. It's attorney-client privilege, so I'd ask that you not circulate it. But again, the city has leave to file an amended petition on or before the 31st. You would have the opportunity to review that amended petition and take whatever action you would believe to be appropriate and in the best interest of the county. And again, the matter proceeds to trial, absent any other further development in October.
Okay. So basically, it does no good to sign a MOU. Yeah. I mean,
nothing that anybody signs means anything anymore.
Because I admit I signed the MOU.
Yeah.
It's ongoing, so we probably shouldn't discuss it.
I think until we see what the actual petition says after August 31st, there's no point in discussing it further.
Okay.
Now they just want to get some excitement in the paper. John needed something, so he said, give me something exciting. So, okay, that's it?
Yes, sir.
Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Motion, Junior. Second.
Second. How do you vote? Aye.
Aye.
There you go.